This game is amazing. The movement, the weapons, the environments, the assets. All these elements meld together perfectly to create a gaming experience that'll be forever imprinted on your brain. Especially if you like the recent Doom games. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about. This game takes the best elements of their previous title, as well as yoinking some ideas from the most recent Doom iterations. But make no mistake, this game has soul. It ain't just some copy-paste reskin of Doom like Shadow Warrior 3. So, to get this ball rolling, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with the story. You play the game as Oscar, a killing machine with one purpose: to protect the citizens of Mobius, an orbital city floating above the planet Vulcan. We begin, as every game should, with a superhero landing. And immediately, we start blasting. After busting some more cheeks, we arrive at the site of a fallen hyperunit. Looking closer, you can see that they look exactly the same, but notice how Asuka doesn't react whatsoever. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Anyway, she proceeds to extract its core. In doing this, we gain the ability to do the same to our enemies, just in a more violent fashion. As we turn everyone we meet into beefaroni and blood-filled pinatas, there's a man whispering sweet nothings in our ear.
The road we walk is paved by those who shared this dream before me. And even more, by those who wanted to oppose it.
This man is Nexus. And at this point, we have no idea who this man is or what his intentions are. But even a blind man can see that he's using Asuka for his own personal gain. And by listening to the things he says, you can tell that he's always alluding to something. Like when he says,
"Piece by piece, assemble yourself back together. Try to make this run worthwhile."
It's obvious that this isn't the first time they've been through this, and the fact that failing is part of the routine is even more telling. Or when he says,
"As hard as I try to flex the muscles of my optimism, at this moment they feel a little bit atrophy. I don't mean to discourage you. You are determined to do your best. So I suppose your best will have to suffice."
These statements, at least to me, insinuate that they've been at this for a while now. Slowly moving towards the goal, but the dryness in his delivery tells me that either the progress is slow or they haven't been progressing at all. We make our way through the city, taking down any and everything that stands in our way. And it was at this very moment that the game hooked me. Like the shooting, the blood, the gore, the fluidity of the movement. It just felt so right.
Target's down.
Then she dies. Very brutally, I might add. Starting the next mission, we see that Asuka has been revived, rebuilt, and rearmed. It is at this point we learn that death has no hold over her, and that this is an experience that she's been through countless times, confirming what Nexus was alluding to earlier. Not only that, we learn what our mission is and the events that led to this point. So, facing extinction due to overpopulation and an uninhabitable Earth, humans look to the stars for salvation. To this end, the Eden Project was initiated, and with this came the creation of the Core. You know, that thing we've been ripping out of people and blowing up their homeboys with. Anyway, it's a device that can store a person's consciousness indefinitely. This in turn would allow humanity to travel across the vastness of space. Millions upon millions of human minds were transferred into these cores and sent off to Mobius, the previously mentioned metropolis floating above the planet Vulcan. But something went terribly wrong. There was a conflict between the city's builders, a group of AI known as the Engineers. This conflict resulted in the city being overrun with rogue AI and a destructive force that corrupts AI and technology known as the Erosion. With this corruption came the degradation of the Engineers even more, resulting in each one of them being stuck in a perpetual loop of conflict between each other and the complete failure of the Eden Project. After learning all of this, we're given our next location, blast it down to the city from orbit.
Take it, shoot it, blast it. Watch it move in slow motion. Bloop, and you're like, ah!
Where the real game begins. So, that was a quick recap, but referring to, the full story, in a nutshell, it's a story about a woman named Asuka learning to find herself as she regains her independence, which segues straight into a story of friendship and loving someone in spite of their flaws and terrible choices. There's also a motif of repetition throughout the story. If I had to guess, I'd say that this is used to emphasize Asuka's awakening and realization of her own self-worth and past, allowing her to become more than what she previously was. At least that's what I got out of it, though your interpretation may differ wildly from mine. Moving on to the characters, Asuka, our protagonist, is absolutely beautiful. Though I am salty that she doesn't have normal feet. She just got metal stilts shoved into those heels. Kinda hurt my feelings, I'm not gonna lie. But them cheeks, yeah, they definitely make up for it. So I give them a pass. Cause look, you wouldn't believe how many ass shots are in this game. Like, they definitely did it on purpose. I just can't prove it. Booty cheeks aside, I love her character. Though in the beginning, she's a bit naive and completely unsure of the things going on outside of combat. But towards the end, she's confident and her emotional awareness is peaking, shining brightest when interacting with the character known as the Operator, telling jokes and showing genuine concern for one another's well-being. Though this concern comes mostly from the side of the Operator.
Do you know what an egg is?
An egg?
It's purely abstract for you. After all, you have never seen one. The egg keeps the fetus warm and safe. But at some point, it needs to hatch. If it stays inside the egg for too long, it's gonna die. In order to survive, it must destroy the very thing that brought it to life.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Promise me that when the time comes and you're ready, you will also break your shell.
Right.
Promise?
Promise.
So, although cold and apathetic in the beginning, she grows into a heartwarming individual with a lot of depth.
All right. Buckle up, nerds. Let's get out of here.
Speaking of the Operator, he's literally the best part of the story. And if I'm gonna keep it a buck, I honestly like him more than the main character. He's witty, honest, and fucking funny. He's also the first person in the game to treat Asuka as more than just a thing.
But the truth is, it's hard for me to watch him treat you like that. You're better than him. You always were.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. I just hope it will turn out good for you. That's all.
Sure, he's still getting what he wants out of her, but it's to the benefit of them both, so I give him a pass. Plus, he brought the best out of Asuka, cracking her out of her shell, allowing us to see her as more than just a killing machine with a pretty face.
Look, once this is over, I have a proposition for you.
Let me just find my pepper spray.
No, it's nothing like that.
Your interface. It's not core-based, is it?
Not many know this, but suppose I can tell you I am an entity born within a sea of information.
So, you're a router.
Oh, you and your engineers can mock me all you want, but when the shit hits the fan, you'll come back running to the good old operator.
Nexus is the final character we'll speak on. He's cold in his delivery and completely indifferent to the suffering of Asuka. Though through his unbotheredness, you can feel his annoyance and anger slowly bubbling to the surface. Not only that, but it's easy to gather that he and Asuka have some history. Whether that history is good or bad remains to be seen, at least until the end of the game. So, those are just 3 of the characters that you'll meet throughout the story. There are a few more, but I'll let you discover them on your own. 1, I don't want to spoil it for you. And 2, they're pivotal to the story going forward and add a sort of contextual basis to it, so I'll let you discover that on your own. Earlier, I mentioned that this game has soul, and I meant it. You see it in every aspect of the game. Even at first glance, you could tell that Raycon Games had a clear-cut vision for each component of their creation. The first component being combat. The combat is fucking stupendous, and goddamn does it feel good. The copious amounts of dopamine that floods my system during combat is actually concerning. It feels like I just hit the freshest, most pure line of coke every time I get a kill. And getting a kill feels so amazing with these beautifully designed weapons in this game. And weapons is something that Metal Eden gets so right. Every weapon feels like a gift from the cyberpunk gods. From the assault rifles and shotguns to the grenade launcher and SMG, these guns sound nasty and hit hard. And the weapon inspect animations in this game are god tier. Just look and listen. Absolutely beautiful. But these weapons ain't just for show, because each gun is a weapon of mass destruction, causing the max amount of carnage in mere seconds of holding down the trigger, with each weapon having its own role and identity. Energy and explosive weapons being used for armor, while ballistic and kinetic weapons are used for soft targets, making the player get used to picking the right tool for the job. Adding to that, each weapon has 2 secondary fire options, with each having their own upgrade tree, further differentiating each weapon from one another and boosting offensive capabilities. My personal favorite being, well, all of them. No lie. If I could take all of these weapons home and make sweet love to them, I would. And I'm not just keeping that between you and me. I'm telling everybody that watched this video. I would bust the cheeks of all the guns in this game. Like if they sprouted legs and start walking around, I would bust the cheeks. I mean it. I said it. And I'm not taking it back. I mean it. Anyway, not only do you have an array of weapons at your fingertips, but you also got some abilities at your disposal. 3 to be exact. The most important of which being the core extraction ability. Now this thing is multifaceted. Check it out. So, when a core is extracted, you have 2 options. Either throw it like a grenade, dealing high damage to all the enemies caught within its radius, or absorb it to regain some health and earn a super punch which deals high damage to a target's armor, shattering it instantly depending on the enemy. The second ability is the ice grenade. These things are pivotal to controlling the flow of combat. You can use them to give yourself some much needed breathing room during a frantic dance of death, or to isolate powerful enemies, allowing you to take them out quickly. And with you having up to 3 of these, you will see yourself relying on these more and more. And for the final ability, we got bullet time. Yes, Max Payne. Yes, Matrix. This ability is fucking goated. And it's actually my favorite of the 3. While not quite being a get out of jail free card, it's more akin to a saving grace or helping hand, allowing you to line up shots, sometimes dropping 2 to 3 enemies within one use of slow-mo. And with it being linked to your fuel gauge, you'll have to think strategically when utilizing this ability. Now, the upgrade tree is huge, but definitely not bloated. Every point that you spend has an effect on your playstyle, so choose wisely. I suggest thoroughly reading each upgrade to understand precisely what it does and what element of the game it affects. Me personally, I started with the upgrades to slow-mo, but in all actuality, I should have started with the upgrades affecting the extraction ability, because when it's fully upgraded, it becomes straight up god tier, turning that thing into a devastating mini ballistic missile. Upgrades also feel earned because the only way to acquire points is after decimating your enemies. The dopamine rush be hitting. This same dopamine rush extends to another core aspect of the game, that being the movement. Jumping, boosting, dashing, ledge grabbing, and wall running. Each movement flows seamlessly as if the character is controlling themselves. But you won't be using some of these traversal abilities all willy-nilly. Nah. With the addition of the fuel gauge, this tiny little fucker will push you to think strategically and only move with a purpose. So no dashing and boosting just because it feels good and looks cool. I'm looking at you, Doom Eternal enjoyers. Yeah, you right there. I'm looking at you. This gauge is especially apparent when taking part in the numerous traversal gauntlets throughout the campaign, which, might I add, these things are great and never overstay their welcome. I think it's because they blend just the right amount of interactivity with high amounts of beauty and spectacle. And speaking of beauty and spectacle, these environments are absolutely breathtaking. This game has got cyberpunk plastered all over it. You'll go from feeling like you've only scratched the surface to traversing the proverbial guts of a cyberpunkian megastructure. Yes, cyberpunkian is a word. Anyway, whether it be through bouncing from wall to wall, grapple hooking through endless tight corridors, or ziplining across vast distances, they do a great job at conveying the sheer scale of the environment. Also, they display some dope ass art before the start of each mission. I absolutely love this, and I hope they continue this in future titles. As far as my critiques go, I wish there was more interaction with the world akin to their previous title, Ruiner. There you had a hub where you met all kinds of characters, whether it would be to give you a side quest, fill you in on some lore, or just speak about their current feelings on the current situation. But I know this is a different kind of game with an entirely different message and goal, but still, witnessing the banter between Asuka and the operator made me want this even more, because she has personality and I wish she had more people to bounce off of. So, final thoughts? I quite literally enjoyed almost every second of this game, and you should definitely pick it up if you haven't already, because it just scratches that itch. Like, you know what I mean? Like the movements, the weapons, the art style, and the environment. You could tell that heart and soul was implanted into every aspect of this game. And with it being set in the backdrop of a dystopian cyberpunk metropolis at the edge of the galaxy, makes it all the better. That being said, I wish this game studio all the best in their future endeavors. Fingers crossed for a first-person shooter that expands the world of Ruiner. If you know, then you know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.